Yes, the MiG-21 era that finally ends as the Indian Air Force is all set to retire the iconic fighter jet after 62 long years. Yes, 62 years that it has been in service. The Indian Air Force is set to retire its last MiG-21 fighter jet squadron with a ceremonial send-off scheduled for the 19th of September at the Chandigarh Airbase by the 23 Squadron Panthers. The MiG-21 that was inducted in 1963 that participated in all the major conflicts including the 1965 and the 1971 wars, the Kargil conflict, the 2019 Balakot airstrikes and the ongoing Operation Sindoor. Sandeep, if I can come back to you to certainly say how the MiG-21 has been a very integral part of India's warfare, but also earned the controversial tag later. And as we are all set to bid goodbye, 19th of September is when it retires.
Absolutely. In fact, this is the date that we were all waiting for with some trepidation because, while the MiG-21 has been an integral part of the Indian Air Force since 1965, that 60 years, it's been integral to our warfighting, our wars that we fought since 1965. It, in fact, entered combat almost immediately as it was inducted in 65. So that's 6 decades of service, stellar service with the Indian Air Force. But now you're looking at a crisis of sorts because the Indian Air Force has, a recommended strength, a sanctioned strength of 42 fighter squadrons. It is now already at 32 fighter squadrons. With the retirement of the MiG-21, you're going to be looking at the Indian Air Force falling to an all-time low of 29 fighter squadrons. Now, bear in mind that the LCA Tejas was to fill the gap that was to be left by the MiG-21 phasing out. Now, LCA Tejas aren't coming in the numbers that the Indian Air Force wants them to, and that also explains why earlier this year the Air Force Chief, Air Chief Marshal A.P. Singh was so upset with HAL about the slow delivery of the LCA aircraft. Now, that is something that the Indian Air Force is going to be wrestling with this year because very clearly from now, there are no new fighter aircraft on order. That's a very, very tough place for the Indian Air Force to be at a time when you're facing adversaries on two fronts. You're looking at Pakistan on your western front and you're looking at China on your northern front. Both of them have a collusive relationship as was displayed recently during Operation Sindoor. And the fact is that they are modernizing their air forces with 5th generation fighter aircraft. And here we are struggling with 4th generation fighter aircraft. The 5th generation fighter aircraft has gone to the next decade. So it is a mixed bag for the Indian Air Force. I think there are mixed sentiments with this retirement of the MiG-21 because it was holding up the numbers for the Indian Air Force. And post-September 2025, I think the Air Force is going to be looking at a very, very reduced number of fighter aircraft in the squadron and literally having to opt for something like emergency procurements from overseas or restarting production lines for the Sukhoi 30 to boost up their numbers because the numbers is something that the Air Force is acutely aware of now given this China-Pakistan collusive relationship.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.